Hi guys, and merry whatever Winterfest you could be celebrating or not. It's winter and it's the time of legends related to Santa. Those last years, those time were a bit different for a lot of us, and I wish you could have the time you expected these years. If it's not the case, we share all of our thoughts for you. I'm not really a Christmas person myself, and it feels weird for me to make the voiceover about this video we made because of that. Because it's a very Christmassy build, you will see us do there. During the making of this build, we had busy lives. Numix was extremely busy at work, so she had done the shell just before, but could not do much after. She made some additions, but did not record it. Sarah had a real-life struggle and had to take a break, and I lost some of the footage I had recorded. So it's a typical Guardians build, we suppose. Numix finally got the time to edit just after the holidays, so we hope you are still in the holiday spirit. And while you can see us do that build, I have a few confessions about myself. I have always felt weird with Christmas because all of my friends love it, and for me it was kind of a high-level betrayal. As a child, of course, I loved that moment with family, but later, understanding what it was really, it was the first, oh my god, someone lied to me of my life, and I started to become like a love-hate relation to Christmas time. After that, life made me feel a bit uncomfortable with that period, so even if I love the aesthetic of Christmas build, I'm a bit like, but what should we do or add there? I'm sometimes in between with all of this. To keep that weird feeling, you have to know that Sarah is currently seeing family, and I will be a voice. You'll need to imagine her American accent and forget my very French accent. By yourself, because I'm totally unable to do it myself. It did happen that Sarah was very hyped by that build and did a lot of stuff there. To the point that when Numix took it after Sarah, she was like, but I can't add stuff there, it's a moment of a build where I decide it's Sarah's time. And Sarah asked to just add clutter that she will place, but oh my god, I'm just unable to do that. Numix was at a point where she was totally unable to add anything. I was struggling myself a lot. And I refused to add stuff on the floor because there is no way. So it was a really happy mess. But anyway, Sarah wanted us to add. Yeah, it was already full of clutter. And I was struggling in finding places to add stuff and that to make breaks because of, let's say, too high level of cuteness. But that was fun. So yeah, Sarah is very inspired by Christmas builds, even if she does not decorate a lot in real life. Because it's so many colorful items in the Sims and she feels comfortable with decoration. And she comes to a point when in random builds she could say, okay, it's enough. But not in a Christmas build. No, in a Christmas build, she adds. Last year we did a collaboration in Emerald Cove Discord and Sarah was making another collab, but she couldn't help herself but add stuff to the build Numix and I were collabing in with Sharon. She had a collab with Sleigh where we helped too with Anna and also Luxacana. You can see one of our collab with Lux in our channel and in our channel. It was a Drag to Fab collab. Anyway, in the Christmas build of the Emerald Cove, Sarah did a whole Santa house and workshop, and there was awesome sleigh she found in the gallery and used there, and that sleigh is made by Construxi that you can find in the gallery, and you should really check their gallery to see what they do. There will be their gallery ID in the description of the video for you to check. For this build, we used the shape of a sleigh as an inspo and a giant version. In our build, the sleigh is becoming a home for Father Winter and the elves and the gnomes, because gnomes live there too. They needed very small areas, and you will see they are a very high level of cuteness. Sarah thinks I didn't like the build because there were no dirt, but it's not totally true. I love the build and I love cute things too, even if I need to breathe a bit with cuteness, but it's more about Christmas, not cuteness. As you can see, we have that sleigh house in the middle of a snowy forest and lakes. It's the perfect spot for Father Winter to stop and shake the gift, take care of the reindeers. I focus more on the landscaping, and it's very rare to do something with snow because there are a lot of terrain paint you just, don't do at all. The exterior work was a lot because it had to look like a sleigh and fit a house too. Numix and Sarah focused on it mainly. The interior was a whole work of making it warm and cozy, and it is indeed. You will see a lot of fiddle there, of adding details, of decoration in every rooms. I will let you see all this in details. See you soon, guys. Bye!
So it turns out that I can actually record audio for this build. I thought I wasn't going to be able to because I am visiting family in Florida and there's usually a lot of noise and whatnot around, but I'm staying with my parents and my dad is out, so there's quite a bit less sound in the background, I guess. So as V said, I get really inspired by Christmas builds, even though I don't really decorate for Christmas in real life. I did put a wreath on my door and change out the O in my welcome sign to a little wreath with a bell. I think the fact that I can go over the top and there's so many items in the Sims to decorate for Christmas and so many colorful options that it makes it a lot easier for me to decorate. Usually when I would say, okay, this is enough, I will say, let me add more to a Christmas build. I'll just add a lot more stuff. In fact, I took a last look at the build just now and I added quite a bit more stuff. So if you see in the walkthrough that there just happens to be a little bit more holly here and there, that's what happened. So V mentioned the collaboration on Emerald Cove. I did a collaboration with Wesley, who was part of the Amethyst Angels, and he did the shell for Father Winter's workshop, but really had burned out by the time I got to doing the inside of the build. So I called in the troops, and Lux Arcana, Numix, Vaporuz, and one of our Amethyst Angels, Hannah, came in and did rooms for me so I could do my thing and make a really awesome workshop with a conveyor belt and a little elevator to bring the finished toys to the wrapping station. And as V said, I found a really awesome sleigh someone had made on the gallery, and I was going to try to make my own based off of theirs, but at that point I was really tired and I used their their sleigh. So that's by Construxi, Construxi, on the gallery, and definitely check them out because the sleigh is awesome and they have some really interesting builds on their gallery. If you download the workshop or the save file from Emerald Cove, just imagine that this build is inside of that sleigh and it's normal sized for Father Winter, and the elves and the gnomes live inside. The tiny gnome rooms were so fun to make, and in the entire time I was making them, I was squealing to Noom and V about how adorable they were getting and sent them tons of screenshots, and of course they thought they were adorable too. And by the time that Numix got the build for me, she said, this is the point where I would say, Sarah, take this to do your detail thing, and she really couldn't add anything else. I still felt like I needed to add clutter, and I wanted some things that I wouldn't normally choose. And both V and Numix think outside the box when it comes to clutter and detail items. And I feel like I tend to do things like use a lot of the same items, even when I try to find different things to use. V will think of things like nesting bowls inside of each other, or putting little vegetables in them, or put a chopping board with cut veggies or fruits in them, and that's something I wouldn't think of doing. And Numix will use items I wouldn't think to use, and I have to use the eyedropper tool to find out what it is because I won't even know where it came from. I also love watching what other builders use for clutter because it helps me think outside my own box and add more variety. I did have to ask V wait to put all her dirt and grime to everything until I'm done with my tool stuff. Not in this build because it didn't have any dirt or clutter, but in our builds where we do have like a dirty or run down build, I asked her to wait and put all of the dirt and the cracks and things until I'm done because it's really hard to do all my detail tool stuff when I'm grabbing things off of the walls. And then we'll end up with like a splotch right in the middle of a room, and we have to go around and make sure that those aren't random places. I joked that she didn't like this build because it didn't have any dirt in it, but as she said, Christmas is a hard time for her, so it's more about Christmas itself and less about that it's cute. But of course, I always want to add more and more and more and make things kind of over the top as far as decorations are concerned, so it's always perfect for me. She did all the landscaping, and I did ask her to put some clutter for me, even if it was just putting it on the floor to me to place, but she did not want to put it on the floor. She said, this is not what I do. So she did put it on the shelf for me, and she made a really adorable Christmas cake with a snowman topper and lots of little details that look like icing, and added clutter to the elves' bunk bed so it feels like each one has a personality. Of course, this build was really enjoyable to me, but because of some life things, it did take us after Christmas to get this video out. My partner and I flew back down to Florida back to visit family for Christmas. His parents live down here as well as mine and my brother and sister-in-law and their 2 kids. My nephew is just turned 2.5 on Christmas Eve, and my niece just turned 6 months old. So they're really fun, and my partner and I built a play set with my brother for my nephew, and he was so thrilled to be able to play on it finally. He kept on looking out the door and the windows and saying hi to us and wanting to come and hang out with us. Finally, when we were finished and my brother had it all sanded down and safe for him to crawl on, we all were there to watch him play on it for the first time. So that was really awesome, but it did kind of make it seem like I couldn't do any kind of voiceover. Luckily, I'm able to record now, and hopefully there's not too much background noise or anything. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday, whatever you celebrate, whether it's Hanukkah or Christmas or Kwanzaa or Eid or any of the other things that I might not know of. Please feel free to tell us in the comments what kind of winter holidays that you celebrate, because I'd be really interested to find out what everybody is celebrating, and I hope you guys have a very happy new year from the Guardians. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.